Comic artist Nathan fell in love at first sight the moment he laid eyes on a university student. When he discovered the young man already had a girlfriend, Nathan didn't feel devastated at all. On the contrary, he even entertained the idea of digging up the wall. After all, as the old saying goes, no wall can withstand a strong enough shovel. He was preparing to start a new BL manga set in a school environment, but the problem was, he lacked material. Following his editor's suggestion, Nathan stepped into the university campus with high spirits, hoping to find someone who fit the image he had in mind. An art student, outgoing and cheerful, kind, always willing to help others, with a perfect physique. While he was still scouting around the campus, his editor introduced him to Professor Mateo. After a lively conversation, Nathan was pleasantly surprised. Mateo didn't mind at all that he specialized in BL manga. The two of them went together to the art studio. As soon as they entered, Nathan's eyes fell on a tall, strikingly handsome young man bent over his drawing table. The sharp angle of his face, the firm chest muscles, and even a faint glimpse of parts not meant to be described. Exactly the type he had been dreaming of. My God, this was a masterpiece in human form, straight out of his fantasies. Unfortunately, Nathan's little scheme was shattered almost immediately. The young man, Cameron, politely bowed his head and said, "Sorry, I only came to refuse. I don't want anyone interfering in my personal life." With that, he slung his backpack over his shoulder and walked out. Mateo quickly explained, flustered, "Sorry, he agreed with me yesterday. I didn't expect him to change his mind today. If you want, you could try asking other students." Nathan smiled faintly. "It's fine. The first one refuses, then maybe there'll be a second. I understand. It's natural not to want strangers involved in your private life. Just letting me sit here and watch the class is good enough." But in his heart, he couldn't help but feel a pang of disappointment. They had only just met, yet Cameron already felt so right. If only he had agreed. His gaze unconsciously lingered on Cameron's simple, unadorned figure until he found himself lost in thought. What beautiful, so beautiful it was like gazing at a flawless landscape. He secretly raised his camera to take a photo, but Cameron immediately noticed. From that day on, Nathan came to the art room almost every afternoon. He pretended to observe the class, but in truth, he only wanted to steal glances at Cameron. One afternoon, as he left the building, he happened to run into Mateo driving past, who warmly offered him a ride. On the way, the professor even suggested, "Let's go out for dinner sometime, shall we?" Nathan, caught off guard by the friendliness, felt a little awkward. Unlike Cameron's cool, distant demeanor, Mateo was gentle and kind, and to someone gentle, Nathan found it hard not to respond gently in return. When they reached the classroom, they unexpectedly came across Cameron on the phone. Nathan hesitated, wondering if he should greet him, but Cameron brushed right past without so much as a glance. So foolish of me to even think otherwise. Later, Nathan handed out a few limited edition novels to the students. Anna hugged him joyfully in thanks. Afterward, he wandered the campus with his camera, capturing the scenery. Suddenly, a sharp voice cut through the air. "Let me go! It's so hot! Don't cling to me like that!" Startled, Nathan turned, only to find Cameron, whom he thought was aloof and untouchable, looking visibly annoyed as his girlfriend clung to him. So that was his girlfriend? His chest sank like a stone. The sight drained all the energy out of him. As Cameron later texted his best friend, complaining about the suffocating relationship, Nathan quietly snapped photo after photo. When Cameron lifted his head, their eyes met. Flustered, Nathan looked away at once. From then on, he kept coincidentally bumping into Cameron, which made the student suspicious. That guy, he's a BL artist. Could it be he has some shady intentions toward me? One day, Mateo suddenly asked Nathan to model for a sketching session. Embarrassed, he reluctantly agreed, urged on by the students' enthusiasm. Anna teased him. "Do you smell that? Something sweet in the air. Like the moment you walked in, everything turned sugary. Nathan flushed scarlet, smiling awkwardly. By the end, encouraged by Matteo, he even picked up a pencil to draw. But as he pondered what to sketch, his eyes drifted, as always, toward Cameron. Even just sitting there, Cameron's presence commanded attention. Nathan's hand moved of its own accord. By the time he realized it, Cameron's face had taken shape across the page. Horrified, Nathan tore out the sheet and bolted from the room. When the class fell silent, Cameron calmly walked over and picked up the discarded sketch. And the most surprising thing, inside Cameron's own sketchbook, Nathan's image had also been drawn. That night at a bar, Nathan sought out his only friend Kai to drink his sorrows away. Slurring, he confessed, "You know, I've been taken with someone. Crazy handsome. Must be at least 6'2", but he'll never like me back. Drink." After drink, memories of his first visit to this very bar resurfaced. How he had sat quietly in a corner, no one approaching him, and how at least that gave him a sense of safety. As the alcohol hit harder, he buried his face in his hands and muttered, "I'm useless. My art is awful. My characters are awful. My plots are awful. My drawing's a mess. And I'm ugly too. That's right, I'm just ugly. Probably because I never worked hard enough." At that moment, Kai came to his side, just as he had that very first time, listening patiently, comforting him gently. From then on, the two had become best friends. Drunk, Nathan groaned bitterly. "Why is it that all the handsome guys hang out together, and me?" Kai chuckled. "Wow, so you actually like someone? That's rare to hear from you." But when he learned that the person Nathan spoke of already had a girlfriend, an absolute beauty at that, the smile faded from his lips. He immediately advised, "You'd better stay away from him." Nathan just waved him off, insisting, "Relax, I only admire him, that's all. How could I ever actually like a straight guy? I'm ugly and useless. Why would anyone look twice at me? And even if I did like him, I'd never dare act on it. So don't worry." The next morning, after a night of reckless drinking, Nathan woke with his head pounding like a hammer. And worse, sleeping right beside him was Kai. As fragments of the night before came rushing back, he wanted nothing more than to crawl into a hole. Oh God, how was he supposed to face this? He swore then and there, never again would he touch alcohol. But then again, considering Kai was that handsome, maybe it wasn't such a loss after all. Later at the university, Nathan ran into a familiar cold, stoic face. His heart skipped a beat. Had he walked into the wrong room? But then Cameron spoke. "I'll agree to be your reference material." Nathan froze in disbelief. Hadn't Cameron said he didn't want strangers interfering in his personal life? Matteo had even promised to introduce someone else. So why now? Before he could ask, Cameron turned back with a dazzling smile. "I know you asked Professor Matteo to find someone else, but I already agreed." That smile was so bright, it nearly blinded Nathan. He couldn't understand why Cameron had changed his mind, but judging from his demeanor, it didn't look forced. Then suddenly, Cameron reached out, blocking his way, leaning in close. "So, how exactly does the little author want me to cooperate?" The proximity made Nathan's face flush crimson. To hell with it. Just go with the flow. Could I, maybe see your dorm life? Cameron paused for a moment, then his lips curved into a smirk. "Sure, I'll take you there." Nathan obediently followed. But the place Cameron brought him wasn't a dormitory. It was a luxury apartment off campus. The moment he stepped inside, Nathan was overwhelmed by the lavish interior. It looked straight out of a drama series. This was clearly the home of someone wealthy. Cameron turned. "Want something to drink?" Nathan hurriedly shook his head. Today, Cameron seemed unusually welcoming. While he busied himself in the kitchen, Nathan wandered around, wide-eyed. This apartment was at least 4 times the size of his own home, with both a piano and a violin. Of course, they lived in completely different worlds. Could he ever dig through such a wall? By chance, he noticed the door to a studio half open. Inside, an easel stood draped with a white cloth. Drawn by curiosity, he reached to lift it, only for a strong hand to seize his wrist. At some point, Cameron had appeared behind him, leaning in close to murmur at his ear. "Your drink is ready." Nathan jumped, heart racing wildly. Cameron calmly pulled the cloth back into place, then took Nathan's hand and led him out of the studio. Dragged along, Nathan kept his head lowered, face burning red. What was he thinking, snooping around like that? It was his first time in the guy's home. What if Cameron hated him for it? But Cameron only turned on the TV and gestured. "Sit." Nathan slowly sat, mumbling an apology. Cameron brushed it off casually. "I told you, make yourself at home. Nothing to apologize for. By the way, what kind of comics do you draw?" "I'm a little curious." The question nearly made Nathan choke. He couldn't let Cameron know he was a BL artist. Panicking, he blurted, I draw shoujo. You know, for girls." Cameron raised his brows. "A male author drawing shoujo? That's unexpected. Got any works I can read? What's the title?" Nathan stammered, "Just call me Nathan. My works aren't any good, not worth showing." "What's there to be embarrassed about? If readers like them, they can't be that bad." Overwhelmed, Nathan shot to his feet. "Sorry, I just remembered. I have plans with a friend. I'll show you next time." And with that, he bolted out the door, his ears still echoing with the pounding of his own heartbeat. Was it nerves, fear, or something else entirely? From the balcony upstairs, Cameron quietly watched him leave. Was Nathan hiding because he didn't want anyone to know his real inclinations? Or because he was concealing feelings for him? The next day, in the hushed silence of the library, Nathan was chatting with Mateo over the phone, agreeing to meet for hot pot later. As he browsed the shelves, someone sat down beside him. He looked up, Cameron. Nathan panicked, quickly averting his gaze. Why him again? And in a library outside of campus, no less. So embarrassing. Summoning his courage, Nathan asked shyly, could I maybe have your WeChat? But Cameron spoke first. My God, what a coincidence. Meeting here. Does it make Nathan embarrassed? At the mention of girlfriend, Nathan's heart clenched painfully. Wasn't she always glued to his side? As he pondered, a sudden stab of pain hit his chest, forcing him to clutch it. Just then, Mateo appeared, cheerfully slinging an arm around Nathan's shoulders and inviting him out for hot pot. Cameron's lips curved in a smile, but his eyes darkened. Nathan hesitated, considering asking Cameron to come along too. But when he turned back, the student was already surrounded by a group of admiring girls. Nathan lowered his head, his mood sinking heavy. Mateo asked in concern, "What's wrong?" "Not feeling well." Nathan couldn't bring himself to describe the strange feeling weighing on his chest. He told himself this isn't infatuation. It's just fear. Fear he'll find out I'm a BL author. After dinner, on his way home, Nathan suddenly overheard a heated argument. A cold female voice rang out. "Let's break up!" Nathan flinched in surprise. He turned his head. It was Cameron and his girlfriend. The girl slapped him hard across the face. "You won't say a single word even after being hit like this. Now I finally understand why all the others left you. You're always calling me, trying to control me, forcing me to stay away from other men. Last week I had a performance and you didn't even show up. You don't even know the month or the day of my birthday. You never cared about what I like, or whether I'm happy or sad. All you ever wanted was possession. To you, I was nothing but an object when you needed me. You were never truly sincere with me." With that, she stormed off in anger. Even after being scolded so harshly, Cameron stayed silent. Watching his lonely, heavy figure, Nathan's heart ached. He pressed a hand to his chest, the pain surging in a way he couldn't name. In that moment, Nathan finally realized. Those days when his heart raced every time he faced Cameron, it wasn't nervousness or fear. It was because of affection. Only when you care does it hurt. Only when it hurts do you want to embrace someone, to give them comfort. He crouched in a corner, mind in chaos. God, I've actually fallen for someone I shouldn't. And yet, deep down, there's even a secret joy in it. How detestable. One squatted, one stood. They stayed that way in silence until the sunset fell. A week later, the two had completely lost contact. The man heartlessly abandoned the boy, whose eyes had been filled with nothing but him. Nathan's parents exploded in fury. Unfilial son. We didn't give birth to you, so you could go out there and act like a woman. You've thrown away this family's dignity. Cut ties with that guy immediately. You're not allowed to see him again. Do you hear? That's enough. All these years, I've sacrificed so much for this family. Can't I have even a shred of freedom for myself? If you don't break up with him, then get out of this house. From this day on, we are no longer father and son. Nathan's eyes widened in disbelief. He never thought things would turn out like this. With nowhere to cling to, he collapsed to the floor, clutching his head, sobbing. Why? Why does it have to be this way? But it was all just a dream. When he woke, the corners of his eyes were still wet with tears. He sat up, recalling it all, and gave a bitter laugh. How foolish he had been. Once he fell into love, his mind would be consumed entirely by the other person. He feared that lonely, helpless feeling, because no matter how much love he gave, he would never receive the same in return. He didn't want to repeat the past, didn't want to make the same mistake again. Thinking of Cameron, there was only one choice left: stay away from him. Just then, a text arrived from his mother, full of warmth and concern, an invitation to return home for his niece's celebration, and to take the chance to reconcile with his father. Nathan bit his lip, recalling last night's dream. Mom, I'm sorry. It's not that I don't want to come home, but Father already no longer sees me as his son. At the subway station, still lost in thought, he unexpectedly ran into Cameron. Cameron invited him to go see a movie. Just as the train doors were about to close, Cameron suddenly pulled him into his arms. Nathan's face burned red at once. He had clearly intended to end things between them. So how had it come to this? A pretty girl, too shy to ask Cameron for his WeChat, nervously asked Nathan for help. He froze. Girls nowadays are this bold? But how can I possibly help my rival in love? Yet the look in Cameron's eyes, and everything they had already been through, made it impossible for him to refuse. Before he could say a word, the train jolted, and Nathan stumbled right into Cameron's embrace. The hot, pounding rhythm of his heart echoed against his ear. The two of them quietly held onto each other, neither willing to let go of this rare warmth. At the horror movie, Cameron thought Nathan would be frightened and bury himself into his chest. But instead, Nathan munched on popcorn, eyes glued to the screen, even laughing out loud. Cameron grew irritated, especially when he noticed the couple in front cuddling affectionately. Frustrated, he turned to look at Nathan. On the outside, he looked timid, but here he was laughing happily. What a twisted little author. There was even a crumb of popcorn at the corner of Nathan's lips. Cameron swallowed hard, reaching out to gently wipe it away. The moment his fingers brushed against his skin, Nathan froze, blushing furiously, forgetting even to swallow the popcorn. He choked and began coughing violently. Afraid of disturbing others, Nathan covered his mouth with his hand. Cameron, distressed, pulled his hand down. The warmth from Cameron's grip seared his wrist, making his face grow even hotter. Flustered, Cameron released him at once, muttering, "I was just worried you'd choke to death." Don't get the wrong idea. The atmosphere grew thick with ambiguity, and Nathan quickly changed the subject. If Kai were here, I'd probably get to see him cry and hide in your arms. At the mention of another man, Cameron leaned in, his tone dripping with jealousy. Who is he? He's just a friend, Nathan hurried to explain. Cameron stayed silent, but his fiery gaze never left Nathan. Awkward, Nathan turned away. The movie's almost over. Let's watch before the tickets go to waste. That whole night, Cameron was in no mood, while Nathan never found the chance to say the words, "We should end this." On the bed, Nathan greedily savored the tenderness, even if it was only because Cameron treated him as reference material. Let him be selfish just this once, just a little longer. As for Cameron, lying still with his phone on his chest, he tapped along to the rhythm of his heartbeat. His mind was filled with Nathan's radiant smile, the light that warmed his long, cold heart, the light he longed to claim for himself. The next day, when a friend asked Cameron to help out at his shop, he reluctantly agreed. But his mind was already set on a plan to pursue his wife. He called Nathan and dragged him along. Yawning and half asleep, Nathan was pulled into the store. The handsome shop owner stunned him. So it was true. Beautiful men always surrounded other beautiful men. Spotting a few cute cats, Nathan's eyes lit up. But when Cameron came out and saw him chatting happily with Mina, his face darkened. "Troublesome," he muttered. Nathan caught a fragment of it, his heart giving a little tremor. Was he jealous because of me? Mina laughed it off. "Don't overthink it. Cameron just doesn't like Christmas." Nathan was puzzled. Who could possibly hate Christmas? Mina only shook her head. "You'd have to ask him yourself." Nathan, afraid of upsetting him, let it drop. When the shop opened, Nathan sat down to practice his handwriting. Cameron watched silently, then noticed how good Nathan and Mina looked, standing side by side. His lips curved in a bitter smile. A pretty girl walked over to strike up conversation, wanting to sit beside Nathan. He blinked in surprise but nodded. Why am I suddenly surrounded by beauties these days? But nothing escaped Cameron's eyes. Just as the girl was about to sit down, a cup of coffee was slammed onto the table. Cameron sat opposite, his eyes locked on Nathan, completely ignoring the girl. The strange atmosphere made her blush and stammer before scurrying away. Cameron watched her leave, his lips curling in satisfaction. "Anyone who dares flirt with what's mine, I'll chase them all away." Nathan admitted that because his family was poor, he had never been able to attend school when he was young, so he had taught himself to read with a dictionary. Hearing that, Cameron narrowed his eyes. Admiration? For what? A selfish, cold family that only cares about interests. What's there to admire? Nathan froze, realizing his mistake. He quickly apologized. "Sorry, I wasn't thinking about your feelings. If there's anything you can't say out loud, I'm willing to be a tree hollow for you to confide in." Cameron paused in surprise, then gave a small laugh. His gaze softened. Late that night, Nathan dozed off on the sofa. Cameron quietly picked up his sketchbook and began to draw his sleeping face. The scratching of the pencil woke Nathan. He sat up embarrassed. "Don't tell me you looked inside my sketchbook." Cameron handed him the finished drawing. Nathan was stunned. "It's beautiful." "Too beautiful. It doesn't look like me at all." "I only draw truth," Cameron said firmly. "I don't know how to embellish." Nathan blushed even deeper, fumbling for words. Mina came over curious. "Why's your face so red?" "Is it hot?" He quickly scratched his head, trying to dodge the question. The distance between them shrank without either realizing. Seeing this, Cameron frowned, inserted himself between them, and pulled Nathan away without a word, leaving Mina confused behind them. Outside the shop, Nathan was still smiling brightly. Cameron scowled. "What are you laughing at?" The fool answered innocently, with a proud grin. "Hehehehe, that was the first time a girl ever called me handsome." Cameron's brows knitted. "You were handsome to begin with." He hadn't needed to say more, but when the words slipped out of Cameron's mouth, something compelled Nathan to blurt, "Cameron!" "Have you broken up already?" The instant he said it, he regretted it. And sure enough, Cameron's eyes lit up. "How did you know?" "Earlier, I happened to see the two of you arguing at school. Sorry, I didn't mean to eavesdrop." Cameron reached out, gently cupping his cheek. "You don't need to apologize." The night breeze brushed past, and the warmth of his palm spread across Nathan's face, making him long to understand this person more. When asked why he hadn't broken up sooner, Cameron faltered. "Obviously, they came to me with genuine feelings at first. But once we were together, I didn't want them going out with other guys. They wouldn't accept it, nor did they beg me to stay. In the end, it turned into me, not loving them anymore. Even now, I don't understand what I did wrong." Nathan stayed silent for a long while before finally speaking. "If there's no tolerance, only demands and possession, that isn't love. It's just people using each other. If I had a boyfriend, and he cared, I'd try my best to avoid whatever upset him. That's the kind of promise I'd want to keep." Cameron's gaze grew so serious, it made Nathan's heart tremble. Flustered, he pulled his hand back, muttering, "I was only analyzing it from a girl's perspective." "Sorry, I still have a manuscript to submit to my editor. I'll head back first." Watching his retreating figure, Cameron could only feel the lingering warmth in his palm fade into the night. In the days that followed, Nathan was plagued by nightmares. In his dreams, he sat alone in a dark room, clawing at his skin from unbearable loneliness, whispering, "Why? Why does no one love me? Someone, please come love me." Then a large hand suddenly reached down from above. He looked up, and the one who appeared was Cameron. At that moment, his phone rang. It was Mateo. "Want to go to the hot springs with me? In winter, it's good to relax." Nathan hesitated, but suddenly remembered. Cameron hated Christmas. Would he spend Christmas Eve with him? Forcing a smile, he agreed to Mateo's invitation. But running away didn't ease the ache. Step by step, Nathan felt himself sinking deeper into this swamp of feelings. He clearly knew that one step back would end it all, but he simply couldn't move. Christmas Eve, just the day before. He had bragged to Kai that he was going to the hot springs. Suddenly, a bolt of lightning split the sky, startling Nathan, and his finger slipped, sending a message to Cameron. Panicked, he quickly withdrew it, praying Cameron hadn't seen it. But his phone immediately rang. The moment he answered, Cameron's voice came through. "You're going to the hot springs." "With who, Professor Mateo?" Flustered, Nathan stammered. "Sorry, I sent it by mistake. That's why I retracted it." But Cameron pressed on about the hot springs, even insisting he wanted to go too. Nathan was at a loss. The ticket was supposed to be for Mateo. Cameron only said calmly, "That's nothing. I'll take care of it." On Christmas Eve, Cameron actually showed up. The moment Nathan saw him walking over, his face burned red. All the pent-up longing in his chest surged up like waves, flooding him. Mateo only smiled. "It's fine. The more, the merrier." He even draped an arm casually over Nathan's shoulder as they went to register for a room. Just then, a woman's voice called from behind. "Professor Mateo!" It was Vivian. She didn't just greet Mateo, she also greeted Cameron with an overly familiar tone. Clearly, there was nothing simple about their relationship. Mateo sighed inwardly. So, this trip wasn't going to be peaceful after all. Vivian turned toward Nathan as if deliberately mocking, introducing herself. "I'm Professor Mateo's student, and also Cameron's girlfriend." Nathan froze in place, his face a tangle of emotions. Then, a strong hand suddenly pulled the two apart. Cameron's face darkened. "What are you doing?" Vivian snapped. "Why are you pushing me like that?" Nathan instantly recalled the scene when Cameron had broken up with his ex, the same unwavering hard eyes. He lowered his head and murmured softly, "I'm sorry." Before Cameron could react, Nathan grabbed his luggage and slipped past in silence. Vivian sneered, "It's clearly your fault, yet he's the one apologizing first." "You really are," but Cameron only shot her a chilling look, heavy with warning. "Don't go near him again." Vivian burst out laughing, clutching her stomach. "So you are jealous." Fine. I won't go near him." At the reception desk, Mateo had finished registering. Since it's a hot spring, they arranged double rooms on the 5th floor. "If that's inconvenient, I'll change it right away." When he turned, he saw Nathan pale and trembling. "Are you feeling unwell?" Nathan forced a smile. "It's nothing. 5th floor is fine. Let's go." As they walked out, they passed Cameron and Vivian arguing. Nathan glanced once, expressionless, but inside his chest twisted painfully. Cameron called out hastily, "Nathan!" But Nathan only tossed back a curt reply. "I'll soak first," and he walked past, leaving Cameron standing there in confusion. In the warm water, Nathan tried to force himself to forget what he'd just seen. His chest ached. His head kept repeating, "Don't think about it, don't think about it." Suddenly, someone's fingertip brushed his hand. He startled and turned. Cameron was sitting right beside him. Nathan immediately edged away, wanting to escape. This time, even Cameron understood. "You're avoiding me, aren't you?" Nathan's whole body shook. He bit down hard, forcing himself to answer, "No!" But his clenched fists betrayed the tension boiling inside. The air grew suffocating. Cameron spoke quietly. "I never understood before, but lately I've been reading some BL, and I finally realized. For example, Nathan's behavior now. You even booked a room with Professor Mateo. Forget it. Just move in with me instead." Right then, Vivian suddenly splashed into the spring, clinging tightly to Cameron's arm. "What are you two talking about?" Nathan heard none of it. He only wanted to flee. The feelings he had for Cameron had begun to twist into insecurity, like the terror of having once possessed, then lost. His chest tightened, his legs weakened, and his whole body collapsed, fainting on the spot. In the haze, he thought he glimpsed Cameron's silhouette, He assumed it was only a dream, but when he opened his eyes again, Cameron was gone. A hollow emptiness spread through him. Outside, drizzle fell like a reminder. Stay clear-headed. Stop bothering him. The next day, Cameron wanted to take Nathan to the beach. Mateo suggested, "Let's all go. The more, the merrier." Cameron's glare at Mateo brimmed with hostility, like he could devour him alive. Watching Cameron and Vivian laugh together, Nathan could only smile bitterly. Ha! They really do make a fine pair. And me, where do I fit? At that moment, it felt like being dragged back to the time he was betrayed years ago. When they reached the shore, Cameron's face lit up. "Nathan, remember I said I'd take you to the ocean? Look, I found the best spot. Do you like it?" He emphasized, "I found it for you." Then asked again, "Do you like it?" For a fleeting second, Nathan wished time could freeze, just so he could keep Cameron for himself. But a child's voice suddenly cried out, "Daddy!" shattering the illusion. Nathan pressed his lips together, summoning all his courage. "Cameron, before you asked what kind of story I was drawing. The truth is, it's about love between men. And I like you. I've always kept it hidden. In fact, I've already gathered enough reference material long ago. I don't need to trouble you anymore. Cameron, let's end this." With that, he turned and walked away, leaving Cameron stunned in disbelief. Vivian and the others noticed something was wrong. Why did Nathan leave so suddenly? Cameron! But Cameron only stood frozen, eyes empty. His phone buzzed. A message from Mateo. "I'll take Nathan home." His fingers clenched the ring in his hand. Vivian's chirping voice at his ear grated on his nerves until he roared, "Shut up!" She went pale, silenced. Cameron had grown up in a family that prized profit over affection. From a young age, he had shown talent for drawing, yet never once heard praise from his parents. They only forced piano lessons on him, scolded him as useless. Unworthy compared to his older brother, only his grandfather ever praised his drawings, holding him close whenever he cried, "Don't cry, Cameron." No parents truly hate their child. They're just too busy. One day they'll understand. "Do you know why I named you Cameron?" "Because I hope you can be free like a bird and live your own life." He had clung to those words until the day his grandfather passed away. That day, his faith collapsed. No matter how hard he tried, studying piano, painting, meeting every demand, he received nothing but coldness. He began to rebel, fighting, skipping school, desperate for attention. In the end, he was cast out of the family. Since then, he'd left his hometown for another city, where no one controlled him. He could draw, make friends, live freely, yet no matter what, the emptiness inside remained. To fill it, he threw himself into relationships, changing girlfriends like clothes. But in the end, they were just like his parents, always demanding perfection. Until he met Nathan. That day's dazzling sunlight, the boy pushing his glasses down, eyes as bright as the sky, smiling radiantly. In that instant, something slipped quietly into Cameron's heart. He had torn the sketch apart, only to sit there, smiling foolishly like a man in love. That day, Cameron sat dazed in the shop. Matthew couldn't stand it and asked, "Another breakup?" "But why is it different this time?" "Before you never cared. Now look at you. Messy hair, not even bothering with yourself." Cameron stiffened, silent. Matthew gaped. "Don't tell me. This time you really fell for someone?" Cameron blurted without thinking. "I was confessed to by a man." The words left them both speechless. Once he processed it, Matthew asked, "Judging from your state, are you struggling over how to reject him?" Cameron scratched his head. "I don't know. You don't know?" Matthew almost shouted. "If you were straight, you should have rejected him on the spot." Then he suddenly remembered. Cameron had once asked him to bring back a manga. Looking closer, Matthew was floored. "Wait. Don't tell me. You've been bent all along?" Cameron's face flushed. "I just grabbed it randomly." Matthew flipped through, recognizing at once that the author was a BL artist. His eyes grew sly. "Ah, I get it now. Read it. Maybe you'll find your answer." Cameron held the book, bewildered. You can learn about feelings from reading? Of course. Authors always pour their real experiences into it. Maybe not exact, but love is love. The way you face it is the same. Try it. You're still completely lost. Cameron stayed quiet, head bent as he read. When he turned to the scene where the two leads kissed, suddenly their faces shifted into his and Nathan's. Panicked, he flung the book away, ears burning red. Damn it, why are all my thoughts so dirty? Yet a voice inside whispered, if it's Nathan. Maybe it wouldn't be so bad. Ever since Nathan confessed, then cut ties, the two hadn't met again. Nathan blamed himself for being a hateful BL author. He was the one who ended things, yet still secretly hoped Cameron would come find him. One day, pulling his cap low to cover half his face, Nathan was suddenly stopped by a girl. You're Nathan, aren't you? He froze. They had never met. The girl looked him up and down, then bluntly said, You're gay, aren't you? Nathan's fists clenched, nerves taut. I don't know what you're talking about. What do you want? She smiled. I just want to chat about Cameron. She said Cameron had dated many girls, but none of them ever lasted. He had never once begged anyone to stay. With his looks and charm, normally no one would want to refuse him. And yet, they all left, which meant the problem lay with him. Hearing that, Nathan grew agitated and cut her off. He's not the kind of person you say he is. He knows how to be sincere with someone he truly loves. You were by his side and still didn't understand him. If you both only treated each other like adversaries, then how could any relationship last? The girl froze for a moment, then gave a bitter laugh. So you really do like him? Well, I once liked Cameron too, so I know the feeling. Though it stings a little, I have to admit, he never showed those kinds of emotions in front of me. I just want to remind you. To love Cameron, or even just to like him, takes a lot of courage. Because having been with him, I understand. Cameron's love feels like a weight pressing down, suffocating you. Too selfish, too possessive, I know. Being with a straight man, for someone like you, it only brings pain. If you don't have the determination, don't get yourself caught up in it. I've been there. If I can warn one person, that's better than watching them regret it later. Nathan immediately interrupted. You also heard those words when you were with him, didn't you? And yet you still chose to stay. The girl stiffened. Yes, she had once thought she would be the one who was different. But in the end, she wasn't. Maybe Nathan truly was that different one. Outside the door, Mateo happened to overhear the whole conversation. Nathan spoke up. It's fine. As long as you know my orientation and don't feel uncomfortable. Mateo smiled. Why would I? I'm the same as you. So don't worry. Nathan was stunned. No wonder you've never been surprised by what I draw, or by who I am. Mateo only gave a self-deprecating smile, then quickly changed the subject. Actually, that girl was right. Nathan, you're the kind of person who's very serious in love. Cameron may be good in many ways, but when it comes to relationships, he has a lot of flaws. I hope you'll think carefully before deciding anything with him. Nathan didn't know how to deal with it all, so he went to a bar, drinking until he was drunk, in hopes of dulling the pain. With the advice of his best friend, his thoughts began to clear a little. Meanwhile, Cameron, wanting to prove his orientation, deliberately went to a gay bar. At first, he thought it would be chaotic, but it turned out to be fairly quiet. Because his looks drew too much attention, 3 men quickly noticed him. One with platinum hair couldn't resist, and came over to strike up a conversation. Cameron scowled. Get lost. I'm not interested. But they kept pressing in, making him even more irritated. Damn it, I never should have come. What a bunch of pests. At that very moment, Nathan, drunk and leaning against Kai's chest, mumbled, Hey, why don't we be together? The words jolted Cameron upright, his heart in chaos. He shouted, Nathan! His voice thundered across the bar, startling the platinum-haired man. Nathan blinked in a daze, unsure who was calling. When his blurry eyes finally settled on the tall, familiar figure with a furious face striding toward him, he froze. Ah! Cameron? Why are you here? Cameron didn't answer, only glared coldly at Kai. Kai frowned in confusion under the sharp stare. The next second, Cameron rushed over, seized Nathan's hand, shoved Kai aside, and dragged him out. No matter how much Nathan called to him, Cameron refused to let go. In a deserted alley, Cameron suddenly shoved him hard against the wall. It was the first time Nathan had ever seen him so angry. Was he angry out of curiosity? Or because of me? Just as Cameron was about to speak, Kai's voice rang out. Nathan! Nathan! Where the hell are you taking him, you lunatic? By reflex, Nathan tried to call back, but Cameron gripped his chin, forcing his head up, and crushed his lips down in a rough kiss. The more Nathan struggled, the tighter Cameron held, kissing him deeper. Who knew how long it lasted, until Cameron tried to go further. Nathan exploded, shoving him away. Are you out of your mind? Do you even know what you're doing? Panting hard, Cameron's eyes burned red. Why were you at this place with another man? Didn't you say you liked me? Nathan lowered his gaze. So what if I like you? What gives you the right to shove people around and act like that? What if someone gets hurt? The more distant Nathan seemed, the more desperate Cameron became. He seized Nathan's hand and pressed it against his chest, speaking from the depths of his heart. Nathan, I like you. Nathan froze, stunned. Only one phrase echoed in his mind. I like you. Impossible. How could it be? He likes me, but I'm a man. Seeing his disbelief, Cameron only clutched him tighter. I came here just to be sure. With those guys, I felt nothing, only disgust. But when I saw you with someone else, I went insane. I don't want anyone touching you. I don't want you giving your heart to anyone else. But those words didn't make Nathan happy. He remembered what Cameron's ex-girlfriend had said. His love was too possessive, too selfish. Maybe they were right. Cameron wasn't being sincere. It was only possessiveness. Nathan forced a bitter smile. Cameron, you're mistaken. You're just empty, and I happened to be there, so you treated me like some safe harbor. This feeling, it's only possessiveness, only temporary. I can't, and I won't be with a straight man. With that, he turned and walked away. Cameron slammed his fist into the wall and collapsed to the ground, filled with doubt. Was it true? Was it really just impulse? But these past days, his mind had been consumed only by Nathan. If that was just possessiveness, then what did it mean? Nathan staggered into the rain, letting the icy drops drench him. Memories surged back in fragments. The day he realized he was gay. Fear clamped around his heart. Fear of his parents knowing. Fear of being abandoned by the world. The first time someone gave him love. He foolishly accepted it, only to just as foolishly lose it. But meeting Cameron was different. His feelings were so intense, so overwhelming, Nathan truly believed he was loved. He gave everything, only to be suffocated. He both longed for it and feared it. He wanted someone to listen, yet was terrified of being a burden. Love. What was it really? If loving meant losing yourself, if the other person treated your feelings like a nuisance, could that still be called love? He shrank back into himself, doubting, just wanting to find a place free of wounds named love. Meanwhile, Cameron sat in a daze, then suddenly realized he didn't even know where Nathan lived. He only had his contact information. With winter break beginning the next day, Cameron hesitated for a long time before finally going to Mateo. Professor, do you know Nathan's address? You don't ask him directly, but come to me instead. Mateo was puzzled. Cameron frowned. If you don't know, then forget it. Sorry for bothering you. He turned to leave, but Mateo's voice stopped him. Do you... Like Nathan? Cameron turned back, eyes unwavering. Yes, I like him. Mateo froze, then laughed bitterly at himself. He never expected Cameron could say it so firmly, without hesitation. In the end, Mateo handed over all the information he had. Meanwhile, Nathan's fever refused to break, medicine no longer helping. He gasped for breath, reaching for a glass of water, but his vision went black and he collapsed. At that very moment, Cameron had arrived downstairs. In the freezing winter air, his breath turned white, but he kept staring at his phone. Every message he sent had gone unanswered. From afar, Kai spotted him. Looking at his height and face, it was no wonder Nathan liked Cameron. But he thought to himself, what a pity he's straight. Straight men acting jealous like boyfriends. Better to stay away. But Cameron had already noticed him. His face darkened as he strode over. So it was you last night? What are you doing here again? Kai raised his chin. What I do is none of your business. Cameron clenched his fists. Nathan is mine. Don't even think you'll ever have a chance with him. Kai scoffed and turned away. But Cameron followed. Hey, how long are you going to follow me? I'm just here to grab some things. Get out of my way. Then tell me, what room is Nathan in? Ha! I don't even know that myself. You think I'd tell you? If he didn't tell you, it means he doesn't want to see you. What good is it? hanging around here bothering him. Just then, a heavy thud echoed from inside the apartment. Both of them tensed. Something's wrong! Kai fumbled out a key to unlock the door. Cameron's eyes widened. Why the hell do you have a key to Nathan's place? The door swung open. On the floor lay Nathan, unconscious. Panicked, Cameron rushed in, scooping him into his arms and touching his forehead. He's burning up! Were you out in the rain last night? Kai reached out as well, but Cameron instantly swatted his hand away. Don't touch him! Are you insane? Kai snapped. The two nearly came to blows, but Nathan's violent coughing pulled them back. Cameron quickly laid him on the bed, while Kai placed a wet towel on his forehead. Searching the whole apartment, they found no medicine. In the end, Cameron had no choice but to go buy some. Before leaving, he shot Kai a sharp glare. Fine, but you're coming with me. I'm not leaving you alone here with Nathan. Kai snapped irritably. You're overthinking. But fine, someone needs to take care of him. I can't just leave you here alone. Either you go buy the medicine, or we go together. What? Are we supposed to just let him burn up with fever? I never had any such thoughts about someone who's sick. Cameron turned his back, still bristling, but Nathan's condition weighed on his mind. In the end, he relented. I'm warning you, you'd better keep your word. If anything happens to him while I'm gone, don't think you'll leave here in one piece. Click. The door shut. Kai let out a helpless sigh. Nathan, oh Nathan, if you hadn't told me he was straight, just looking at him, I'd never believe it. Not even 5 minutes later. Frantic knocks rattled the door. Cameron rushed in, panting, hastily pressing a cooling patch onto Nathan's burning forehead. Seeing him so worried, Kai's anger eased. Curiosity got the better of him. Hey, Nathan told me you liked girls, so why are you acting like this even toward a man? Are you bi? He added. Nathan once dated someone like that. In the end, he was betrayed. The guy went back to his ex-girlfriend. Nathan needs someone who'll stay by his side for life. You, on the other hand, have options. Sooner or later, you'll bow to society's pressure. Marry a woman, have kids. That's why before you both get hurt, you'd better walk away now. Cameron's face darkened, his voice sharp with anger. Don't ever compare me to that bastard. Who says I can't be the one to stay with him for life? Sure, I've been with people, but I've never felt what I feel when I'm with Nathan. I know the difference. I don't care about society's gaze, and I'll never marry a woman just because of pressure. Kai didn't argue. After all, who could predict the future? But inside, Cameron had already decided, if I cared about society's eyes, I wouldn't even still be in this city. For him, I'm willing to stay. Before leaving, Kai warned, make sure he takes his medicine on time. And don't you dare do anything inappropriate. What am I even thinking? That kid's still green. Probably too shy to try anything. Click! The door closed. Cameron leaned down, pressing his forehead against Nathan's, whispering, I really don't like seeing you so close to him. His gaze drifted to those pale lips. He couldn't resist, leaning in, brushing a gentle kiss. Realizing what he'd done, his face flushed scarlet, muttering to himself, shameless. Kissing someone who's sick. I've never done that before. What a beast I am. That's when he noticed Nathan's laptop still open, drafts of comics scattered on the screen. So Nathan was drawing that kind of story. His thoughts were cut short by a harsh cough. In feverish delirium, Nathan clutched his hand, murmuring weakly, cold. So cold. It hurts. Cameron scrambled to find a blanket, but the room had none. The AC didn't even have heating. No wonder Nathan felt frozen. After a moment of hesitation, Cameron stripped off his coat and slid under the covers, wrapping Nathan in his warmth. The next morning, Nathan was roused by the heat. He slowly woke, instantly aware of the strong arm encircling his waist. Turning, Cameron's handsome face was right there before his eyes. Not a dream. He really slept beside me? Too close. He could hear their breaths mingling. Flustered, he tried to move away, but the motion stirred Cameron awake. How do you feel? Still feverish? Any discomfort? Cameron asked in a rush. Nathan's heart pounded wildly. Struggling to stay calm, he asked, why are you here? Because last night at the bar, that guy you were with let me in. That's how I got inside. Cameron shrugged. Nathan's gaze flicked to the cap on the desk. He remembered handing Kai the key. The air between them grew tense. He made an excuse to head for the bathroom, But as soon as his feet hit the ground, dizziness sent him swaying. Cameron caught him instantly, pulling him flush against his chest. Their bodies pressed tight, and Cameron nearly lost control as something stirred awake. His eyes widened. Nathan's face flamed with mortification. He tried to wriggle free, but the movement only made things worse. Cameron blurted, "Nathan, don't move. You're pressing against me." Seeing Nathan's crimson cheeks, he froze. Nathan averted his eyes, whispering, "Let go." Tearing free, Nathan bolted into his room, slamming the door shut. Both hearts raced madly. Nathan stared at his reflection in the mirror, cheeks blazing like a teenager's. Then came a knock. Cameron entered, holding a pair of glasses. "Your frames are broken. I'll get them replaced." "No need, they're still usable." "And why are you here?" "I already turned you down." Cameron gripped his shoulders, gaze firm. "I like you, truly. I don't care what you think of me. I've never felt this way about anyone but you. If this is just possession, then why am I like this?" Nathan closed his eyes, silent. Cameron pulled him into a tight embrace, whispering, "I don't know what love is, and I'm no good with words." "But if you'd let me..." "Nathan, please teach me how to love you." Nathan trembled, stunned, still saying nothing. He needed time, afraid Cameron only hugged tighter. Before leaving, he placed his coat on the chair, a silent plea to stay. Later, Nathan's sister came to visit. She urged, "You've been away for over 2 years. Mom and Dad weren't wrong to ask for time to accept it. Every time I come home, I see Dad sighing outside your room." Nathan cut her off. "I'll come back when it's time." She sighed helplessly. "You're just like him. Stubborn." Spotting the coat, she teased, "Got a boyfriend already?" Nathan's eyes fell on the coat, but he shook his head. "Don't stay trapped in the past. Only by stepping out can you find something better. Growing up means learning to accept pain. Otherwise, you'll spend your whole life locked in it." "That's lonelier than losing someone," Nathan asked softly. "When you chose to be with my brother-in-law, what were you thinking?" She grinned. "I thought, finally, I've caught this young master for good." Her cheerful words eased his unease. Maybe he was overthinking. Meanwhile, back at his apartment, Cameron received a call from an unknown number. His tone turned cold. "My brother won't contact you." "Stop calling. That house has been nothing but cold since Father died." "I was lucky to meet Nathan. Every moment with him is warm. I just want to stay by his side forever." That evening, after seeing his sister and brother-in-law off, Nathan grew restless. His sister's words, her courage to hold on to love, echoed in his mind. He muttered aloud, "If a straight guy tells me he likes me, should I believe it? Or cut ties?" She blinked, then smiled gently. "Silly boy. Of course you have to ask him. If you want to know, face him directly." That night, Nathan texted Cameron, asking to meet. The moment Cameron saw the message, he bolted downstairs, didn't even fix his appearance. Downstairs, Nathan stood waiting, anxious when no reply came. Does he not want to see me? Did he think I was joking? Just then, a familiar voice rang out. "Nathan!" He looked up, only to be swept into a tight embrace. Through the thin pajamas, Cameron's solid chest pressed so close he could barely breathe. The first time, someone's held me this close. How long has it been since I felt this warmth? Passers-by stared, surprised. Flustered, Nathan whispered, "Let go, people are watching." But Cameron didn't care. Nathan faltered, remembering Cameron's confession, that he didn't understand love, that he'd asked Nathan to teach him, so Nathan spoke seriously. Just because you don't care doesn't mean you can ignore the other person's feelings. Love means learning to understand each other. If only one side keeps trying, both will end up exhausted and then break apart. Do you get that? Instead of answering, Cameron grasped his hand tightly, deliberately missing the point. Then, the one beside me will be you, right? The unexpected question stunned Nathan. Before he could respond, Cameron pulled him upstairs. His warm grip on Nathan's wrist, the heat seeping through his pajamas, made his heart race wildly. This was Nathan's second time in Cameron's place. Everything looked exactly the same as 2 months ago, untouched. But that very sameness stirred unease. These things had once witnessed Cameron with someone else, sharing intimacy, holding hands while painting. The images flooded his mind, making him uncomfortable. Yet, deep down, He was certain. I really do like Cameron. To test it, to confirm this feeling was real, Nathan suddenly pulled Cameron close, whispering, "Cameron, let's try it." To love and be loved. Cameron froze, unable to believe his ears. He wasn't prepared for this. But he knew, if he refused now, he might lose Nathan forever. Ruffling his hair nervously, he stammered, "Should I shower first?" Hearing that, Nathan blushed furiously, ducked his head, and bolted straight into the bathroom. The door shut, leaving Cameron slumped on the sofa, eyes drifting to the bathroom door, imagining what lay beyond, but unease gnawed at him. He knew nothing about intimacy between two men. Who was top or bottom? Then another thought hit him. Nathan's movements seemed far too practiced. Had he done this with someone else before? The idea festered until jealousy burned. He slammed his fist onto the table in frustration. Meanwhile, inside the bathroom, Nathan's hands shook, his heart heavy with fear. The wound of betrayal still felt fresh, like yesterday. He whispered to himself, "It's just a trial, just to confirm. It'll end quickly." At that moment, Cameron knocked, handing him clean clothes. Nathan cracked the door to take them, only to be suddenly yanked forward. He nearly fell, catching himself on the frame. Cameron quickly let go, shoving the clothes into his arms, muttering low, "Wait for me in the room." The pants were far too big. Nathan had to hold them up to keep them from slipping. Emerging, he murmured softly, "Cameron, I'm ready." Without waiting, Cameron pulled him into a fierce hug, burying his face in Nathan's chest, voice dark. You've been with someone else before, haven't you?" Nathan didn't deny it. Calmly, he asked back, "So what if I have?" The words only fanned the flames. Cameron pushed him onto the bed, gritting his teeth. "I don't know if you prefer being on top or bottom. But I can only be on top, so please bear with it." Tears blurred Nathan's vision. He bit his lip, whispering through trembling breath, "To me." Position doesn't matter. That unconditional acceptance only tore at Cameron's heart. He suddenly remembered Nathan's words. Love means understanding each other. Yet now, Nathan's trembling wasn't from joy, but from fear. Horrified, Cameron froze. What am I doing? How could I treat him so harshly? He pulled Nathan into his arms, voice breaking. "I'm sorry." "I can't." But to Nathan, it felt like rejection, like abandonment. Tears spilled down his cheeks. "So it was all just my delusion. You never truly meant it. For a scrap of fleeting tenderness, I threw myself into the fire. How ridiculous." He wiped his tears, turning away. "Sorry for forcing you." As he moved to leave, Cameron wrapped him from behind, desperate, trembling. "Don't go." "Please, let me explain." But the dam inside Nathan burst. He sobbed uncontrollably. "I'm terrified of being alone." But even more afraid of tenderness that disappears in a moment. Don't make me love you, only to lose you." Cameron tenderly wiped away every tear at the corner of Nathan's eyes. For the first time, he felt both happiness and heartache so intensely. "It's my fault. I made you afraid. I never wanted you to be hurt just to prove my feelings." Between sobs, Nathan whispered, "Cameron, you're straight. Why would you like me?" Cameron froze, then slowly answered, "At first, maybe it was because of your eyes, because of your gentleness. But now, I only want you to stay by my side. I've never felt anything this strong before. With you, I don't want to part again." Nathan's heart couldn't help but tremble. Though he still suspected that this affection might just be dependence, the unwavering look in Cameron's eyes made it hard to deny. Cameron leaned down and murmured, "We can start slowly. Get to know each other more, and then you can decide. Just don't let go." Those words touched the softest part of Nathan's heart. After a long silence, he nodded faintly. "All right. I'll try to understand you more." Cameron's fiery gaze made him blush. Flustered, Nathan quickly covered his face with his hands. Without promises that bound too tightly, perhaps he could feel a little more at ease. The next morning, Nathan was once again woken by warmth. Tired, he slipped out of Cameron's embrace, and while passing the study, his eyes were suddenly caught by a painting. The colors felt familiar, and the main figure was himself. His cheeks burned red, his heart racing. So all this time, while he hadn't realized, Cameron had been treasuring his image like a precious keepsake. When Cameron realized his secret had been discovered, he scratched his head awkwardly. You saw it? At first it was just practice, but after I finished, I wanted to keep it for myself. I don't want anyone else to see you through my eyes. Nathan's heart trembled. His face flushed crimson. In that instant, he realized. He had always been loved in this quiet way. Cameron buried his face into Nathan's neck, voice almost spoiled. You're mine, Nathan. Just then, Nathan's phone rang. The caller was Kai. While Nathan was explaining what had happened yesterday, he didn't notice Cameron closing in from behind, listening closely. On the line, Kai warned, "Be careful. My instincts about people have never been wrong. He's not gay, he's bisexual. With someone like that, sooner or later, he'll choose marriage and children." Cameron's fury exploded. He snatched the phone and hung up coldly. Nathan turned, worried. Are you jealous? Cameron's face turned red instantly, but he stubbornly denied it. Jealous of what? Who's jealous? I just don't like him. He's always clinging to you, not knowing his place. Nathan thought for a moment, then decided to be clear. Kai is the only friend I truly trust. We're just friends, absolutely nothing more. Cameron turned away with a low grunt, clearly still smoldering with jealousy. Nathan sighed helplessly. At the meal, Cameron never took his eyes off him, his heart thudding wildly. Burned by that gaze, Nathan finally looked up and smiled at him. That was it. Cameron's heart exploded. He had to admit, that very smile had carved itself deep into his soul. For the first time, Cameron opened up to Nathan about himself. It turned out he loved painting because of his grandfather. His grandfather had once dreamed of becoming a free artist, but family burdens buried that dream. Still, he often took young Cameron to exhibitions, wandering streets full of paintings. Each time, his face lit up with joy, speaking passionately, so unlike his usual stern self. It was him who influenced me. From then on, I fell in love with the world inside paintings. Every stroke carries deep emotions. That's when I understood. Doing what you love is one of the most important things in life. Nathan had never seen Cameron like this. Gentle. Bright, so beautiful it left him stunned. Unlike Cameron, his own reason for drawing comics was much simpler. He just liked telling stories and drawing. Later, he learned about publishing and kept going. That was all. But in Cameron's eyes, it was wonderful too. The world in your drawings must be just as deep and beautiful. The unexpected praise made Nathan flush. This was the first time anyone had evaluated him like that, and from the person he liked. No less. After lunch, Cameron turned on the TV, just as an entertainment segment aired. A famous author exposed for having a real image far from his refined persona, outwardly elegant, but secretly an otaku who drew 18+ works. Cameron's face darkened immediately, thinking of someone nearby changing clothes. Sitting beside him, Nathan asked, "Don't you have class today?" Cameron leaned his head onto Nathan's shoulder, sulking. "I've got the day off. Can't Nathan stay with me a little longer?" The spoiled tone made Nathan's heart stir, nearly making him want to linger by his side forever. But then, he thought of his unfinished manuscript. He still had to earn his living, so he refused. Cameron had no choice but to come looking for him instead. When Lunar New Year arrived, Nathan prepared to visit his parents. Cameron instantly pressed him down, whining, "Can't you spend New Year with me?" Nathan sighed. "Cameron, aren't you going home with your grandparents and parents?" For a moment, Cameron's face collapsed. "Grandpa passed away. My dad won't see me. He already kicked me out. I've no reason to go back anymore." The careless words struck Nathan hard. He regretted his slip, waves of sorrow rising in his chest. He had so much he wanted to say, but all that came out trembling was, I'll visit home, but after the holiday, I'll come right back to you." Cameron smiled faintly and kissed his cheek. "I'll wait for you. Come on, let me take you home." As their hands touched, both were surprised by the smoothness of each other's skin, hearts pounding once again. At the parking lot, Nathan was awestruck by the luxury car. Glancing at Cameron's composed figure behind the wheel, he couldn't help but think, men driving really are too attractive. On New Year's Eve, Cameron sat alone by the window, silently watching the fireworks. His only thought was whether Nathan had made it home safely. Then his phone chimed. A message. "I've arrived." He lowered his head, lips curling faintly. Elsewhere, Nathan sat on his porch, smiling as he exchanged messages with him. Just one line of text, one smile on the screen, carried the sweet taste of love. They promised to meet again in 2 days. That night, Nathan shut his phone early to work on his manuscript. Cameron gazed up at the sky, waiting eagerly for that moment. Just then, his phone rang again. It was his older brother. At first, he wanted to decline, but in the end, he answered. "Long time no see. Happy New Year," Cameron replied flatly. Happy New Year. His brother invited him to join a painting exhibition, even reserving him a spot. Cameron refused outright. "I'm not going." But in the end, when the future was mentioned, he reluctantly agreed. He didn't believe his brother's sudden kindness, so he asked for the condition. The other only sighed. "There's nothing. Just be yourself." Before hanging up, his brother asked, "Did Mom and Dad call you?" Cameron felt a flicker of hope, but before he could ask further, his brother's girlfriend's voice came through, pulling him away. The sound struck Cameron as strangely familiar. Meanwhile, Nathan stood before his family's door, hesitating. Ever since he had been driven out, more than 2 years had passed. His heart was full of worry and unease. Finally, his older sister opened the door, smiling. "If you don't come in, are you planning to stand out here all night?" "Come on, Mom, Dad, Nathan's back!" His mother rushed out from the kitchen, eyes glued to him as if afraid he'd vanish again. Nathan's nose stung, his voice choked. "Mom, I'm home! Sorry to keep you waiting so long." He stepped into the living room. His father was watching TV. Hearing the greeting, he only grunted, not sparing a glance. But Nathan knew. His father was still angry about the past, though far from indifferent. If he truly didn't care, he wouldn't have told his mother to prepare a good meal, knowing Nathan was coming. As soon as he opened the door to his room, his younger sister threw her arms around him. "Brother, I missed you so much. Your room. I've made it into my secret hideout now." Her sharp eyes quickly spotted the red hickey on his neck. "You have a boyfriend, don't you? With marks like that, how could you hide it? If Dad sees, there'll be a huge fight." Nathan hastily pulled up his collar. He hadn't realized the marks were still visible after so many days. He resorted to wearing a high-neck sweater to hide them. But when changing, the dense red spots made his sister's eyes widen. "Oh my God, the guy's way too strong." "Brother, let me meet him. I'm dying of curiosity," Nathan fumbled. Things with Cameron were still hazy. There was no clear picture to present. "Another time." His sister pouted. "What kind of boyfriend leaves no photos?" "Impossible." Nathan only smiled without answering. His older sister, preparing to return to her husband's home, reminded him, "Whatever happens, endure with Dad. Even if he says harsh words, don't take them to heart. It's the new year. Let's keep things peaceful. Call me if anything happens." His mother brought over a bowl of ginseng soup, steaming hot. "Nathan, I've cooled it down a bit. It's not hot anymore. Drink it." Nathan lifted the bowl and took a sip. The rich flavor spread through him, and he sighed softly. It's still the taste of home. The next day, he stood on the balcony, watching the neighborhood kids building sandcastles below. Cameron's call came through. Startled, Nathan glanced quickly toward the living room, where his parents still watched TV, before slipping in his earphones and answering quietly. Cameron's voice reached him. "I'm busy here, about to attend the exhibition." "Nathan, why does your voice sound so small, like you're hiding?" Nathan explained, "My parents are watching TV." Before he could finish, his father's cough echoed. Nathan jumped, quickly hiding the phone behind his back. His father, watering plants, fixed him with a stern look. "The day after tomorrow, relatives are coming to visit. Make sure you help your mother entertain them properly." Nathan faltered. He had already promised Cameron he'd return the next day. On the other end, Cameron also heard it. He gently said, "Then stay home with your family. I'll wait for you to come back." Soon enough, the day the relatives visited arrived. The table bustled with laughter and chatter. But then one uncle abruptly changed the subject. "Nathan, what work do you do now?" "At your age, you should be thinking about settling down." Nathan smiled, answering tactfully. "I'm working in comic creation. At this age, I want to challenge myself first. Marriage can come later." The uncle immediately compared him to his own son, already with a stable job, a girlfriend about to marry. Then he suggested, "Your work doesn't have much of a future. Why not follow his path? It'll be more stable." From the balcony, the son snorted, adding mockingly, "Forget it! Don't let him follow me. He likes men. My boss hates that kind the most. Bringing him in would only bring trouble. The cheerful atmosphere froze. Someone tried to smooth it over. It's fine. Liking men isn't a big deal. Young people these days all have their preferences. In the end, he'll still get married, have kids. What matters is living happily. Everyone forced themselves to continue eating. But Nathan knew well, this was something he'd have to face sooner or later. At chances throughout the day, some relatives dropped hints, mocking him as gay. His father sat stiff, unable to refute. Finally, after the guests left, his younger sister fumed. What kind of people are they? Every visit, they throw digs at our family. Aren't they afraid their own kids might be gay? His mother panicked. Hush, don't say it so loud. They might still hear. His sister snapped. So what? Did you hear what their son said? I almost snapped back. Even his father couldn't hold back. He slammed his glass down on the table. Damn it. Earn a bit of money and think you can lecture my son? What my son likes is none of their damn business. But then he turned sharply on Nathan, eyes blazing. And you! I didn't raise you to go liking men. Every year they use this against us. If you just get married, have kids like everyone else, we wouldn't have to suffer this shame. The accusations cut like knives, making Nathan's heart ache. Again. Always his fault. If not for him, wouldn't everything be peaceful? That thought led him to quietly pack his things. His mother noticed and knew instantly he was about to leave. She rushed to stop him, but Nathan only held her hand gently. Don't worry. Mom, I'll be fine. He patted his sister's head softly, whispering, Take care of Mom and Dad for me. And with that, he turned firmly and walked away from the house. Elsewhere, Cameron was still busy at the office. Yet his mind wandered to the image of Nathan surrounded by family. It must be so warm. He thought to himself, even if he could never have that kind of atmosphere, he mustn't let Nathan lose it. The phone rang. He picked up. Nathan's voice came through, tipsy and unsteady. Cameron was shaken. Nathan had drunk far too much, all because his father had scolded him. Not wanting to argue back, he had simply kept drinking until he collapsed at the table, leaving the waiter worried. Damn it, Nathan. Where are you? Cameron nearly roared into the phone. Luckily, the kind waiter gave him the address. Before hanging up, Cameron growled, Until I get there, no one touches him. Do you hear me? 2.5 hours later, he rushed to the place. In the corner, Nathan was still clutching a glass of alcohol, drinking recklessly. You still want to drink? Cameron's whole body trembled with rage as he grabbed Nathan's shoulders. Are you hurt? Did anyone touch you? The moment Nathan saw Cameron, all the emotions he had bottled up burst out. He broke down sobbing. Dad hates me! If I didn't exist, maybe they'd be happier. But I like men. What am I supposed to do? Why is everything always my fault? Cameron froze. For the first time, he had truly touched the wound Nathan carried within his family. Just 2 hours earlier, he had been jealous of that so-called warmth. Now he understood. Nathan, just like him, bore scars that could never be shared. Nathan, drunk beyond reason, hung onto Cameron's neck like a sloth, mumbling, Kai, why are you so different today? Drink with me. Cameron nearly exploded on the spot. What? Did he just mistake me for Kai? Nathan, look properly. I'm Cameron. I won't allow you to confuse me with that bastard. But Nathan only blinked, too dazed to tell the difference. Cameron clenched his teeth and swore. From now on, he would never let Nathan touch alcohol again. What if next time he mixed him up? Wouldn't that just make him wear a green hat? He carefully laid Nathan on the bed, took off his glasses, and gazed at that delicate face, heart in turmoil. If he were to see Nathan's bare body with his own eyes, would he react? The thought made his cheeks burn. Flustered, he opened his phone to look up information about intimacy between men. The screen filled with explicit images. He slammed it shut, face blazing red. How could anyone willingly do such things? But then his eyes accidentally fell on Nathan's exposed waistline, and he couldn't stop himself from swallowing hard. His hand moved on its own, tracing the curve downward, his heart pounding wildly. To his shock with Nathan, he didn't feel the slightest discomfort. When Nathan woke, he saw Cameron and jolted in surprise. Cameron shrank back in fear, burying his face in Nathan's neck, muttering, I was just curious. Nathan smirked slyly, leaning in to whisper teasingly, Do you want to? We could try again. Cameron faltered, tempted for a moment. But then he remembered the fear Nathan had shown last time. Pulling him into a tight embrace, he said softly, "Wait until the day you truly want to be with me. That's when we'll begin, all right?" The words stunned Nathan. He clutched Cameron tighter, realizing he had already fallen too deep to ever escape. Yet after days of sweetness, conflict began to surface. Cameron repeatedly offered critiques on Nathan's manuscript. At first, Nathan endured, but the constant nitpicking drove him to the breaking point. Finally, he shot up and shouted, "Stop interfering! Just get out!" The door slammed. Cameron stood frozen. He only wanted to help. "Cameron, can you please let me work in peace?" The gentle words cut deeper than any blade. For the first time, Cameron felt like a burden, and he quietly left. From then on, he no longer sought Nathan out, only sending brief morning and good night texts. In his spare time, he would sit at Matthew's cafe until closing, holding a cat in silence. Matthew was astonished. "You? Kicked out? Don't tell me you and that kid Nathan are actually dating?" Cameron said nothing. Matthew sighed. "If your parents ever found out, they'd be furious. 2 sons in one family, both like that? Unthinkable." Then he offered some advice. "He's working and you keep hovering. Who wouldn't feel suffocated? Put yourself in his shoes. Don't be selfish like before." Cameron fell into silence, lost in thought. Matthew added casually, "By the way, your brother came by the cafe the other day." "What? He's in this city too?" Cameron was startled. But before he could ask more, Matthew had already shooed him out. He had a date to get to. When the manuscript deadline arrived, Nathan stretched wearily, his mood tangled. Had he gone too far that day? Cameron hadn't visited for days. Was he angry? But thinking it over, Nathan felt he wasn't wrong. Anyone would be annoyed if interrupted while working. Still, the unease gnawed at him. Finally, he decided to seek Cameron out himself. Yet, just as he was dialing Cameron, with no answer, he looked up, and there, in front of him, stood the figure he had once given everything to, only to be betrayed in the end. His ex-boyfriend.